Please take your seats. Veuillez prendre place. So everybody should be sitting in their teams, because now we're going to burn off some of that sugar. So just to let you know, I've distributed around on the different tables this summary sheet, and at the very bottom on the English versions, I forgot to put it on the French ones, but on the English versions there's a link, and the link is to a page where the presentations I've given this afternoon, as well as other resources, are all on that page. And I'll also put the video from today, from my workshops, on that page also. So davender.com/link/bmcanvas. Et en français, si vous voulez le prendre en note, il y a un lien sur cette page-là vers la page en français, ou venez me voir par la suite et je vous le dirai. So, great. So it was fun philosophizing with you during the last hour. Now we're going to get to down to action. And this is a very, very powerful tool, the business model canvas. Because what you've been doing so far, and talking with Andrew and talking with some of you, you've been looking at your ideas, coming up with ideas, and doing a lot of ideation and throwing things out there. Now, the goal is to take the idea that really grabs your attention right now, that you really want to work on, and we're going to build a system around it, a first pass at a system of how you're going to create, deliver, and harvest value using that idea as a core. So just to make sure, does every team have one idea that they're going to be working on, their project idea? Everybody's clear about it? Okay, that's good. This process is not to find an idea. It is about, once you've got an idea, now let's start operationalizing it. So the business model canvas. What does a business model canvas do? Well, it allows you to visualize how you're going to, I want to hear you say it, how you're going to value. That's it. Create, deliver, and harvest value. I want you to say it all the time and until you're saying it in your sleep. Because that's what business is all about. Creating, delivering, and harvesting value. See, even me, I can't stop saying it. And so the business model canvas is this visual representation. And when the book Business Model Generation came out, how many of you have read the book or seen the book? Business Model Generation. It's the first business book that had amazing, pretty pictures in it. I fell in love with the book when it came out. And the author, Alexander Osterwalder, worked very closely with a visual artist, Yves Pignard, and both of them have been worked really hard on it to take these abstract concepts that are in a business plan, that are hidden in the business plan, and bring them out so that you can have a business plan on one page. And that was the power of it, by taking the idea out of 60 pages of narrative and onto one page visually. It really transformed how quickly teams could start to create their hypothesis about who is the client, what is the value that we create, how we're going to deliver this value, and harvest it. And so what you see in many startups now is actually a whole wall. You know, they paint it with that whiteboard paint. And it becomes a living document. The business plan is no longer in a book. It's on a sheet of paper. And this is what many seed investors want to see before they give the first $50,000 to $100,000 for a startup. They want to see a canvas. So we're going to work through the canvas now so that you get a sense of what it's all about. Very visible. This is the business model canvas. This is what you have in front of you. One page. Now, it's sort of hard to do it on an 8.5 by 11, which is where you're going to do it on a larger sheet. But like I said, have fun and do a whole wall with this. And you'll find it's going to be a great way to see the links between the various aspects of the business model. So if we take the business model and now we're looking at perspective, there are 9 parts. It starts with customer segment. Who is the customer? And in many cases, who is your first customer? Which you need to get very clear before looking at what is the larger market. The second part is, what is your value proposition? How are you going to change that person's life? What is in it for them? Remember I said the very first slide this afternoon is people don't care what you do. They only care what you can do for them. And that's what the value proposition is all about. Then, how do you deliver that? The little truck going between the value proposition and the customer segment. So what are the physical and virtual channels that you're going to use to deliver this value? Customer relations. How are you going to get, keep, and grow your customers? How are you going to build a community, a tribe around this idea, around this offer? And that allows you, once you've engaged those people, to think about what are your revenue streams. So how you're going to harvest the value now. And then on the other side, it's about how you're going to execute the business model. The resources, the activities, the partners, and finally the costs to make this a reality. So 9 elements of the business model canvas, and you're going to learn, you're going to get familiar with doing it in precisely that sequence. And it's that sequence which is really, really important. So, what we're going to do is, I'm going to explain it to you, and then you're going to do it in your teams. For each, you're going to fill out each of these parts. So what I'd like you to do first is, in each of your teams, to draw this picture. So just the picture, just the 9 boxes, the way you have it on this sheet. So go ahead and do that on 1 page of your flip chart paper. So for your project, we're going to create the box. I know this morning Davender told you to throw away the box. Now we're going to build another box to put all your ideas in. A better box. So draw, I'll give you 2 minutes to draw 9 boxes. Exactly the way that it's shown on your paper. So make sure you have the 9 boxes the way you have it on the paper. So when you have it, each team, when you have it, raise your hand. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, this team up front is a bit slow. They need to go to remedial drawing. It's not a Picasso, ladies and gentlemen. It's I guess it's a canvas, so it is your Picasso. Okay, I give that to you. Okay, you're going to get used to hearing this sound. Okay, that means time's up. So we're going to do some time boxing here. That'll get the energy going this afternoon. So, the first part is what we said was the customer segments. So who is your customer? Who are your users and customers? And go beyond just the obvious people. Who are people that you can help with your idea? Who are underserved, who are maybe neglected, or who have more to gain. Sort of like the fringes. That's where a lot of the opportunity lies. Look beyond the obvious. So, I'm going to give you 3 minutes, and the goal is, with your team, votre attention s'il vous plaît, your attention please. I'm going to give you 3 minutes, and to brainstorm as many post-its of customer segments, and so you think of it, no censoring, just put it in the box called customer segments, the box that's over here, okay, in that first box. So customer segments, who are the people who are going to be helped? Who are they? Go beyond just who they are, but also what are their values, what are their motivations. So 3 minutes, customer segments starting now. So what you're doing is you're thinking right now of who potential customers or users. 2, 1. Okay, your attention up front, please. All right. How many customer segments did you think of? Just call out some numbers. How many post-its do you have? 15. 20, 10, 15, 19, 12. Great. This is what you want to do at this first stage. It's just do a brain dump. How many different kinds of customers and users, without getting too specific, you can think of? Now, in your teams, I'm going to give you 3 minutes to pick one that you'd like to work with this afternoon. So one out of all of them, keep all, don't throw away any of them, but just pick one and we'll do the rest of the canvas around that one. If you come up with 20 customer segments, you're going to do 20 canvases. No, nobody reacted to that. Okay. You're too busy. That's good. You're too busy. So who do you want to work with this afternoon? What is the user or customer you want to work with? Who has one customer segment they want to work with? Okay, and then you just keep the rest in a little pile on the side. Yeah. Because you'll probably want to do this exercise with every single customer segment that you've thought of, but we'll work with one. Okay. Great. I was going to come with a whistle, like being a lifeguard, but I couldn't find my whistle. So I guess it'll be a bell. All right. So everybody has an idea, and now they have a user or a customer they want to work with, right? Great. So now, for that user or customer, what I'd like you to brainstorm now is the value proposition. What is the difference you're going to make in the person's life? That's what the value proposition is all about. So the way we say it is 3 things. First, what is the pain you're addressing or the gain? If your idea and if your user is more a consumer, consumers are more motivated by a gain. If you're focusing on your idea on businesses want to reduce pain. So pain is a problem, gain is a desire. So what is that gain or pain? And then what is the gain for them to solve this pain or this desire? So what is it? And then how do they benefit? And then the third element is what is their decision trigger? And the decision trigger is the return on use that I talked about earlier. So what is in it for them that makes it so attractive for them to say yes to your idea? So there are these 3 elements. I'll put this back up. Again, I'll give you 3 minutes to brainstorm. What is the problem or the desire, the pain or the gain? What is the benefit for them to solve this problem or fulfill this desire? And what is their decision trigger in their mind, in the user's mind? Okay? 3 minutes. And you can use the hints that are in the notes, in Nicole's notes. So going around, you seem to get the idea quite well. Just a couple of points to keep in mind. So the pain, the ache, the desire, you seem to have got that well. The benefits, the decision trigger, it's, the way I think of it is, what is the question that your user is asking in the moment to make him think of your idea as the answer? So usually the decision trigger is in the form of a question that they're asking themselves. Why is my bill so high? That might be a decision trigger. But then it'll move them to action. So I'll give you another minute just to finish that part, because that's key. Okay. It was a short minute. And now you have a first idea. This is, again, it's a first hypothesis, so it'll get more refined as you work it. But we have enough to go to the next part, which is, where is my remote? Distribution channels. How do you deliver value? So this is not just this is not about the features of your idea, but it's rather, what are the touch points to deliver value? Do you have virtual channels like a website? Do you have a 1-800 line, helpline? Do you have in-person help? So what are the touch points where people will receive service? Is it something that's physical, that's delivered? Or is it something that's virtual? So 2 minutes for distribution channels. Okay, so we've looked at customer segments, the value proposition, including the decision trigger. And we've just worked on the distribution channels, the touch points where you deliver value. The next one is customer relationships. So customer relationships, very simple. How do you get, keep, and grow your customer base? How do you build a loyal tribe, a loyal community of people around us? So these are all your marketing activities. So this should be really easy to do. You should be able to get lots and lots of post-its in there. So 2 minutes. How do you get, keep, and grow your customers? Okay. So we started off with identifying who are the user customers, so your customer segments. Then we looked at value proposition. What is the value that you create for them? Then it was distribution channels. So how do you deliver the value? Customer relationships, how do you get, keep, and grow your customer base? So the third or the fifth part now becomes, how do you harvest that value? What are your revenue streams? The revenue streams. And so you want to think of different ways that you can generate revenue, either directly or indirectly, from your idea. So I'll give you 2 minutes for this. This is the fun part. How do you make money? Okay. So we started off with determining customer segments, the value proposition, distribution channels, customer relationships, revenue streams. So now you have a basic business model that describes how you're going to create, deliver, and harvest value. Let's take a couple minutes now to look at how you're going to execute that business model by looking at key resources, activities, and partnerships. So basically, in the resources, what are all the resources that you need to make this business model work, either in the development or the execution phases? And then the activities are, what are the projects, dependencies, and responsibilities? And finally, the partners that you need, suppliers, developers, collaborators, investors. So we'll do all of those three at the same time. I'll give you 3 minutes to brainstorm some key resources, activities, and partners that you need to make this a reality. 3 minutes. Okay, so you're taking a look at what are the resources, the activities, the projects that you need to accomplish, or that you need to gain to accomplish your business model, to execute it. And now I'll give you 2 minutes to come up with what are some of the major costs, your cost structure. Are there a lot of fixed or variable costs? Just to brainstorm some costs. 2 minutes. Okay, so you have successfully navigated the whole business model canvas, the 9 parts: customer segments, value proposition, distribution channels, customer relationships, the revenue streams, the key resources, activities, and partners, and the cost structure. And that is basically how a business model canvas is done for the first time. You simply give yourself a couple minutes to brainstorm each box. You put hypothesis in every box, but at least you have a starting point now to start looking and putting together tests to go deeper and discover the insights that will make this, turn this into reality. Now, just to make sure everybody understands, I want you to shout out each box in the order that you're supposed to look at them, okay? Everybody looks at, what's the first box? Customer segments. The second box? The third box? Yes. Fourth box? Yes. Fifth box? Yes. Sixth? Activities and resources and partners, ex aequo. And then finally, cost structure. So as you go through it, and even as you're explaining it, you explain it in that sequence. And then that creates a logical step from one box to the next. So who is a team that would like to come up front and basically share the highlights of what they've done this afternoon on their business model canvas? So one team to come up front. We all know it's just hypothesis. It's just dreaming, which is okay. Do I have to pick a team?
Yes, here.
Okay, somebody spoke up. Okay, let's do this team right up front here. You guys have lots of post-its, so come up front. So we need 2 people at least up front. One to hold the sheet and the other person is going to walk us through it.
Okay. He says he's happy to hold it because he's the man. Okay. All right. Exactly. So our customers, we have owners and nonprofits that need help with their events, business owners and nonprofits that need help with their events. Our value proposition is that they can't make it without us. They need some help. They don't have a lot of time and cash, so they want access to help. They're going to get visibility, and the big question is, where do I go for help? So we're going to get through word of mouth, social media, primarily media coverage, websites. We're going to provide fun, food, entertainment, drinks, pull out some testimonials. There's going to be goodwill, humor. Revenue streams. It's primarily to event sponsorship, building memberships, free advertising. We're also going to have some things like staff retention as well. Events, swag, coordination, marketing, partnerships, and other stuff.
And what are some of the key costs?
The key costs is really just the supporting stuff like food, supplies, staff time, a domain name.
Great. Thank you, Cerise. And who was the accessory? Rob is the accessory, so well done. And so you see right there, in barely a minute and a half, what did you notice? In a minute and a half, what Cerise and Rob did was to explain their idea in a way that makes sense to whom? To you, of course, but also to potential, somebody who needs to approve, somebody who needs to be a stakeholder, somebody who wants to be a client. to all the people who could be, who could have connection to your idea. And that's what makes the business model canvas so powerful. So what I'd like to do here is give you a chance to explain your business model canvas to the team that's beside you. So position yourself in groups of 2 teams. I'll give 3 minutes for the first team to walk through their business canvas to the second team, and then we'll switch roles for another 3 minutes. But it shouldn't take you the whole 3 minutes to explain your business model canvas. But, so does everybody have a team that they're going to present to? Your teams are 2 by 2? Okay, go ahead. On second, 30 seconds. Okay, thank you very much. So this is the book, the foundation book, where the business model canvas comes from, businessmodelgeneration.com. And if you go to the site, there are free canvases that you can download. There is actually a 70-page excerpt from the book that explains the different processes that we talked about this afternoon. What you will find is that people interpret the canvas in slightly different ways. So some of the ways that I've broken it down, especially in the value proposition, is not in the original book, but it's come from coaching many of these. Also, you'll see this idea of a canvas applied to industries in a specific way, and so you draw your own canvas with your own boxes. But the concept, once you learn and get comfortable with how you work with the business model canvas, the rest of it becomes easier to read. I could talk about this for days and days and days, and I do in my workshops and my boot camps. But I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open the floor to your questions. We have a couple minutes. Do you have questions or comments about what we covered this afternoon? Does anybody have some questions or comments? Des questions, des commentaires? Yes?
So in your experience working with different organizations, different startups, going through the 9 sections of the business model canvas, which would you say is traditionally the most difficult for innovators and those who are starting up organizations to complete?
What is the most difficult part of the canvas to work with? Customer segment, this customer segment and value proposition. And that's the part when I was talking about in the first part of the afternoon, the problem-solution fit. So I get them to do the whole canvas, and then we only focus on drilling down on the customer segment. And the customer segment has to be so precise that it can pick out the person walking on the street. So for those of you who have marketing background, it really is finding what the persona is, creating a portrait of a day in the life of the user. And then in the value proposition, it really is about the problem, and it has to be a problem that resonates with that persona, with that type of person. So, and then the rest falls from that. So as we get deeper and deeper into validating the customer segment and the value proposition, then, oh, okay, here's some ideas about some distribution channels, or some ways we can keep and grow, or some new revenue streams, or here are some things that we need to do, or partners that we have to get. And there was a great comment in the back. You notice that in all of this, we don't talk about your idea. The goal here is not to express your idea, but what is it? It's to express how you're going to create, deliver, and harvest value using your idea. So the features of your idea don't go on this canvas, but other people have created other canvases for you to work on that. Again, based on the ideas from this system. Other questions or comments? So what did you get out of this afternoon? Yes, question first. What do you do next? Well, that was the part I wanted to get into, but very quickly, I'll show you one of the tools that we use. It's called a Javelin Experiment Board. And if you go to javelin.com, I believe that's what it is, or if you Google Javelin Experiment Board, where's my slideshow? Here it is. Play from current slide. When you what I work a lot with my customers is precisely this. So we take a customer segment. We figure out, okay, this is my hypothesis for a customer segment. Here's the hypothesis for the problem they have. And now let's build a test. So basically, a test could be a survey. It could be man-on-the-street interviews. It could be Google AdWords or something that allows them to see, is this a real problem for the customer? And then we go through a structured series of simple tests. And each test is to test one of the hypotheses about the customer segment and their problem. And we spend a lot of time on this. In my 8-week boot camp, we spent 4 weeks just on this, and then 4 weeks on all the rest of the business model canvas. So if you do lean startup machine is another keyword you can look up on Google, and then this is the tool they use in the lean startup machine to validate the assumption. Great question. Any other questions or comments? So just call out some things you've learned this afternoon. What is something that you've learned or discovered this afternoon? Yeah, just call it out.
I think this is a great tool, not just for startups, but I lead the project management office of our organization, and we're constantly asking our business leaders to come with a business plan. We don't want anything elaborate. We want them to have thought through these things, and they don't have a tool to use today. This is going to be fantastic.
So yes, it's an excellent tool to quickly put together a business concept, a white paper, or something like that by sketching it out, and then you can write a page on each, and you have your idea. Yes. What other things you've discovered?
Lean is about eliminating waste.
It's about eliminating the waste. And what is waste?
Anything that's unproductive.
Anything that people won't use. Life is too short to build products that people don't use. Great. What other discovery or confirmation? Don't fall in love with your idea too early. And please don't. Please don't. What else? Okay. Aha, good question. How do I avoid falling in love with my idea too soon, but remaining intensely passionate, insanely passionate? It's not being passionate about the idea, it's about being passionate about the problem. And that is the key switch when a person gets it. It's not about my solution, it's about the problem. And if you do there's some great articles about how some of the household names in the web world, how they pivoted to where they were now. For example, Flickr. Yeah, it was Flickr. That was a site first. It started off in its first incarnation as a site to share video game shortcuts. And what the founders discovered is that a lot of the people who were posting on this video game forum wanted to share screenshots of their games. And so that's when they discovered, oh, the problem isn't about about video games, it's about sharing images. And they fell in love with that, and it developed into Flickr, and it got sold to Yahoo, and Yahoo destroyed it. But that's another question. Like all good ideas, when they get bought up by a big company, they get destroyed. What other discoveries or ideas or comments you want to make about this afternoon? We have 9 minutes left I have to fill. What did you discover about your project specifically in your teams through this process? What is something that you realized about your project? Either that or I'm going to start singing. What I've noticed in watching you doing the work this afternoon is that you became very creative in coming up with all the users. I saw a lot of posts about the different types of users. And then what happens then is you keep all of those posted. We just said, okay, we'll work on one this afternoon. But then what you do is you go through the process with different types of users until you find a user you fall in love with. And then you fall in love with their problem. So there's a lot of falling in love here. And it goes back to the basic definition. A startup is a human institution designed to build a product or service in conditions of extreme uncertainty. So I suggest, I'm really happy that I had the opportunity to share this with you. I suggest that you continue using this on a regular basis. The more you use it, the more it'll just become a language for you. You can do it on the back of the napkin. If you want to know anything more about this, feel free to drop me an email. I'll just put my beautiful picture up again. There we go. So feel free to contact me at and my contact information is at the bottom of these cheat sheets also. If you want more information, I have tons of handouts, of slideshows, of videos, or even if you want to do a Skype with me, it would be a pleasure to do a follow-up. So thank you very much to Andrew, to Marty, to the whole Filene team, and to all of you this afternoon for participating. Thank you.